In our last session, I talked about the general guidelines that govern most of the behaviors that we see in men, and how I was brought to reflect on these by the stunning revelation that came to me at age 40 or so, that women actually speak to each other in restrooms. Now, let's talk about the specific rules that govern the behavior of men within that most holy of chambers, the men's room. Again, I hesitate somewhat to even broach this subject, partly because of its cloak of venerable secrecy, and partly because of its potential for being a subject that is less than refined, but I believe it will be worth the effort for what it reveals about half the human race. The first rule of men's rooms. This first rule determines all the others. Men go to the restroom only to perform their bodily functions, period. During that time, the privacy of each man is inviolable. The second rule, men do not speak to each other in restrooms, ever. It is implicitly and deeply forbidden. A men's restroom is like a sacred tomb. Speaking would turn it into a social gathering, which would be entirely inappropriate in a place where private bodily functions are the principal object. If a young boy, for example, accompanies his father into a restroom and begins talking to his father, that offense is forgivable, but only barely so. The child is not shot only because of his tender age and his ignorance of the code. The other men in the room then look at the father and relay by means of their looks and posture the unspoken message that he'd better inform his son in a hurry about the rules. No father soon forgets the look. The third rule, men do not make eye contact with each other in the restroom. To do so would be an unconscionable violation of the privacy of another man in a sacred place. If you doubt this, station yourself outside a public men's room and watch the men as they go in and out of this holy chamber. You will never see one pair of eyes lock with another. Sacrilege. The fourth rule, men do not wait in line in restrooms. In the rare circumstance where a men's restroom is actually full, men may pretend to comb their hair, examine the ceiling for structural integrity, repeatedly wash their hands, or leave the restroom and come back when it's not full, but they will never stoop to actually stand in a line. To stand behind another man at a urinal or wait in an obvious fashion outside of a toilet stall would be an intolerable breach of etiquette and personal privacy. The fifth rule, if there are multiple urinals in a restroom, men must use alternating urinals unless absolutely unavoidable. Let's imagine, for example, that I come into the restroom and there are 4 urinals on the wall. If another man is using the second one from the left, I may use the fourth, but never the first or third, which would place me next to the man standing. The same rule applies to multiple toilet stalls. The sixth rule, if you have no toilet paper in your stall, that's just tough. You're out of luck. The fates have abandoned you to your dismal end. Next time you'll check before you sit down, won't you? A man does not speak to get the help of another man to save him in such a humiliating situation, like a woman might do. He simply handles it in as dignified a fashion as possible, and the possibilities themselves are never to be spoken of. In our next session, we will discuss the underlying meaning of these rules.